Well, good morning and welcome to Abuja, and this is the conference this Wednesday morning. First, let me apologize that we're coming to you some few minutes behind schedule, but you should know that we're all full of smiles. But as journalists, rarely are we supposed to show any emotions. Let me be still and be still. Now, there's a buzz, a real buzz, a buzz of endorsement, a buzz of acknowledgement that the right thing is about to be done. Nigerians are very simple and straightforward people. When you do the right thing, they are with you. Check the social media, check mainstream media, check national conversation in beer parlors, in streets. The nomination by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of General Chris Musa as the candidate to become Nigeria's next Minister of Defense. There is celebration in the air. There is endorsement in the air. As a matter of truth, Nigerians will be impatient if the Senate doesn't do it in a matter of minutes and gets it done. So this morning, we are looking at the nomination of General Chris Musa as Nigeria's next defense minister. Now, my gang members this morning are coming in trickles. Maybe they are also celebrating. Maybe they are over celebrating. But before we celebrate too much, who is General Chris Musa, by the way? General Chris Musa is Nigeria's former Chief of Defense Staff. A man hardened in battle, a man brought up in the military institution, a man who knows military organization, a man who speaks defense. So General Chris Musa is being put in a turf where he belongs. And Nigerians are celebrating because Tinubu is putting a square peg in a square hole. There's no doubt whatsoever, howsoever, that Nigerians of all shades of opinion, of all political parties, except those who do not want Nigeria's security situation to change, who would not endorse as quickly as yesterday, the very evening that Chris Musa visited the presidential villa in Aso Rock. That is the man we are going to discuss this morning. The nomination of Chris Musa, General Chris Musa, as Nigeria's next Minister of Defense. I'm not going to speak on behalf of my members, they are here now. But please allow me to enjoy this moment and to say, Mr. President, congratulations. Some good thinking. I think the Japanese who say, good thinking, good product. But before I get too celebrative, too excited, let me introduce my colleagues. For this celebrative morning on my left, Alpha Jagdeen. Alpha, are you as happy as I am?
I'm most elated. The spirit in the country is high. In the last 3 weeks, the spirit of most Nigerians was dampened. But immediately it made it out there that General Chris Musa was in the villa some 2 days ago on the invite of Mr. President. You could see that Nigerians somewhat started praying that may this be why the President and Commander-in-Chief called him. As he faced the Senate later, I want to believe it should be a take a bow and go. because Chris Wabi Musa, I want to believe, is the right man for the job.
He's the right man for the job. We should see why. Andy Zane, on my right, Andy, can't you see that I'm celebrating this morning? You know that sometimes you are not quick. You want to be sure that 1,000 angels can dance on a pin top before you can make your conclusion. Are you in the same celebrative mood?
No, I'm not.
Go ahead.
I'm not. I'm happy about the nomination of General Musa. Definitely, that's a very positive development. But I'm not going to be that celebrative the way you are, because this is one man. We are having an environment that is totally messed up. It requires a lot to sort. He will make a lot of difference. There's no doubt about it. But the ecosystem, the environment that he's working with will still be very challenging. Let us not just move in a situation that having got Chris Musa and that all the bandits are going to surrender tomorrow. No, it is not going to.
Thank you. We are going to bring up some of those issues in the course of this conversation this morning. I just want to take off from where Andy stopped. Yes, we are happy at the nomination of Chris Musa to take out the portfolio of defense, and the reasons are obvious. Hardened in battle, a fine military organizer, operated at the highest policy level, cool-headed, and some considerable intellectualism in military management. That is necessary at this point. But Andy, I want to get back to you. While Chris Musa was the chief of the defense staff, I do not know if he followed his policy direction when it comes to dealing with Nigeria's insecurity challenge. Let me just roll back the tape a little bit. Chris Musa believed that the troops first should be looked after, but no space should be given to criminal elements. Yeah. And therefore, his instructions to his men used to be, go for them. But I'm going to play you back a tape now because of the issues he raised, the environment in which he's going to work. Because Chris Musa is now going to be a political office holder, although he's in a familiar terrain, and going to work with a minister of state, former governor of Zamfara State, Bello Matawale. The two ministers will be handling that defense ministry challenge. Please, if my producer is ready, can I get the position of Matawale in respect of how to handle insurgency?
It's not all of them are criminal. Not all of them are criminal, because if you know, or maybe if you investigate what is happening or what makes them to take those laws into their hand, some of them sometimes were cheated by so-called NSAKI, and I have to ban completely the NSAKI in my state. The NSAKI is those called vigilante group, who normally went to their settlement, destroy their property and take their animals. You know, so, and, you know, they doesn't have anyone to speak with. So sometimes they are going for revenge. Like if NSAKI attack them, so they will go for reprisals.
So the Minister of State, as governor of Zamfara State, I did not play the full tape. I want to be a little cautious, because he rationalized a number of things. First, he said that the Fulani bandits were not criminals really, but they were victims who were seeking revenge, and that there was need to interrogate why they were doing what they were doing. And that was why he preferred negotiations with them. he went ahead to say that he had recommended to Kaduna and Niger State governments, the same negotiation option. And he was accused of fighting the bandits, even buying luxury car for the bandit leader as kind of pacification. That it is his own perception and strategy as Minister of State. So in advising on policy, he would prefer negotiations if he still stands by that conviction. But here is a hardened general who knows where the shoe pinches, whose policy option was go after them because criminality should not be negotiated with. And the two men are going to handle defense portfolio. That's environment, Andy. How will Chris Musa operate in that environment?
Well, Chief, thank you very much. It will be up to Chris Musa, of course. The good thing there is that he is coming as the senior minister. He is coming as the substantive minister of defense. So he is the person who is going to be, by and large, in charge of the ministry, as it were. It is unfortunate nobody enjoys another person having ill health. It's unfortunate that the former minister, Governor Badero, resigned
took ill.
took ill. Along the line, while we wish him well, maybe along the line, Matawali may also have a reason to take a leave, for maybe it may not be bad health, but something else, so that we can really start afresh. His presence in that ministry has a lot of reasons why it does not conduce well for what we are trying to do in terms of fighting banditry and fighting insecurity. If you talk about how Chris Musa is going to handle this, I do believe that he is up to the task. Now he's going to, like you pointed out, he's now going to be dealing on a political terrain as the minister. He's not commanding the troops anymore. But the good thing is that he just left the place. He knows the terrain quite well. He knows the commanders that took over from him. His policies are not, I don't think he's going to change the policies because frankly what Matawala is doing, we don't want to call it what it is, but these are some of the things that have helped to compound our situation as it is now. So while Chris Musa is going to be a little bit flexible because he is now the political leader as a minister, that obviously, it goes without saying. He's going to do that. He's not going to be like a full general, on duty now. But definitely, I don't see him changing the position because first and foremost, the situation has not changed. The situation has gotten worse. But we have the benefit, the policy that he was pursuing as the chief of defense staff, and what happened in his absence within a very short period of time. We all know how it had played out. And so, if anybody comes and continues to talk about this pacification of bandits and terrorists, the question we are going to ask is, where is your result? Where is the evidence of the wisdom in what you are doing? And if we listen to Matawale, for instance, telling us that some of the bandits were aggrieved about someone, do you take being aggrieved by some people in your local situation and then endanger the whole nation and we begin to buy that? Even if you dealt with that at a local level, how can a minister of the Federal Republic come and begin to rationalize and begin to, what do you do about this? And why he dealt with that as a minister, he said, from that time till today, what is the evidence? What is the result?
In Zamfara State, at least.
In Zamfara State, that had already sunken deep further into calamity and crisis. I don't want to come and begin to blame anybody for that, but we know where the fingers are all pointing at in Zamfara State, and elsewhere. So the job that Chris Musa is called to do definitely is a tough job. Anybody who goes to that ministry or to any ministry at all in the country or to manage the country at the moment has a very tough job to deal with. But we are glad we have a man who has the pedigree and whose profile over the time had given us confidence that he's going to bring some stability in that place. And being the senior minister, I am very, very sure that he will stand his ground and that he's not going to buy some of these shenanigans that are compounding our problem.
Alpha, yes. Our people have a thing they say that it's not good to give a child wood with dangling rope to carry, and then you step on the rope and ask that child to move quickly. Now, Andy says that the contradiction in the position of Matawale could create a problem for a minister who does not know his onions. Now, will returning Matawale in that defense ministry amount to tying the hands of Chris Musa and asking him quick match?
Before we get to that, let me attempt to answer this question. Sir, there is a whole misnomer. Let me start by, putting forward this caveat. Yes. When I used to cover the House of Reps, I think Matawale was a member of the House of Reps. So I will not say I have never met him. But in his years as governor, right up to where we are today, I have not met that man. But let me put something across to you. That video you just played was actually when he was governor.
Yes.
Not as minister.
No.
Right? Can we clarify
Was
that?
no, very, very clear. When he was governor.
Very good.
That was his position.
And the second thing about that, was
that clip.
What Matawale was trying to explain. Sadly, a lot of Nigerians have seen it as though he was trying to rationalize certain things. Matawale was just given a historical background as to what led to banditry in Zamfara. Sir,
I have the full tape. Just let me provide more information so that you do not make your conclusions from faction. Matawale said in the full interview, which was after he had briefed then President Muhammad Buhari on the situation in Zamfara State, and he addressed all the media. He said that not all Fulanis are into banditry.
But are they?
But there are some of them
Very good.
who are. I'm coming. And even those of them who are not just criminals, but the people who are injured by the following. I didn't play the footage. One, the vigilante, in trying to provide security, moves into where they have their camps and destroy their camps and sometimes steal their cattle. Secondly, when their camps are close to urban areas, development happens on them and their camps are destroyed. And so as a kind of vengeance, a revenge on a society that is mistreating them, they go into banditry. So there's a need to understand where they are coming from. And that was what he did. And knowing that they were a vexed community, he began conversation with them. That is the story. That is the full tape. Now, what Governor Matawale was saying, therefore, was if the society mistreats you, go carry gun. Analogously, is it because it is Fulani? Why not Birom? If you injure the Birom man, he should go carry gun. Please go ahead.
As it were,
I'll give you the full tape.
As it were, I have listened to the full tape. You see, when Zamfara went agog, I think about 6-7 years ago, thereabout, there was something I said on air. It was a TV program like this. I told Nigerians that the anchor, I was actually on a news program. The anchors were in Lagos, some 2 young ladies I remember. And I made it clear to them that you are there sitting in Lagos thinking it's a Zamfara problem. It may never get to you. You see, if you look at the state of insecurity in Nigeria today, literally every part of this country has been touched. Now, what am I saying in essence? Barely 2 weeks after my conversation with those 2 ladies, Pa Fasoranti lost his daughter. Remember what people like Akeredolu
yes.
led to the, proponent of Amotekun, what have you and what have not. We all knew how we got there. Back to Matawale. If a man comes to the villa to explain to Mr. President what in his opinion has led to a crisis, and then he decides to come and tell the media, this is what it is and this is what I am doing, and we are using same to slaughter this same man today, In my opinion, it leaves a lot to be, what have you.
To be accepted.
Yes, Chief, the issue is this. The issue remains, let's not forget, Matawali did not have troops to contain the spate of criminality, as it were. Not all Fulanis.
Find that you are wrong. You are contradicting Matawali because he said they were not criminals.
No, he said not all of them. Chief, I've listened to that video.
Good.
He said not all Fulanis are criminals. That was why I asked you.
Yes.
But
those carrying arms were those he was negotiating with.
Well, he shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have done that.
Right.
That is where I will kind of
align with
you, rather. Right? He shouldn't have negotiated with them. I am not one who believes once there is a crisis, you give credence to non-kinetic measures. No. If there is a crisis, go kinetic. You can put up kinetic measures probably out of intelligence, out of early warning signs. You know that things are about to go wrong. Can we talk? But once a crisis is full-blown, my take is go kinetic. When we are done with that phase, we can still come back and talk. Rwanda is what it is today. Rwanda is on the rise in Africa after the genocide. Am I saying the genocide was a good thing? No. But if you go to Rwanda today, literally everybody treats the other person with some sense of mutual respect. We don't need to get here. Let's learn from that as a people. Nigeria is a heterogeneous country. We can't run away from that. Nigeria can become the Sinoja of the world. But that can only be if we learn from the experience of other people and see how we can set our country to where it is supposed to be. You know, I don't want us to digress, from the issues of the moment. What we are really supposed to be looking at is Chris Musa as defense minister.
We're still coming to that.
The truth is,
we're looking at the challenges because if Chris Musa has a junior minister whose policy position, whose likely policy position is what he expressed when he was governor, which policy position is what Nigerians, even as at this morning, are worried about, and the man in charge as junior minister has that kind of frame of thought, how will it align with now a substantive minister who wouldn't subscribe to that?
Chief, Signature TV, whether we like it or not, in years to come, even when you and I are not here, there are younger people that will take over this place, will be determined by the prisons you lay today. So it's all about leadership. It's about who is at the top. Yes, the tendency in life is that if you're not careful, you can be sabotaged. But that is only if you allow it. There was something Chief said, and I liked what he said.
Andy said,
and I liked what he said. He said, the caliber of service chiefs, as it were today, are people he has related with over the years. I mean, he's only been off the scene for about 39 days. It's not really up to 40 days. And he is now coming back. The military tradition is that he is still Oga. And I can assure you, forget about politics. They understand where we are today. Nigeria in the last 3 weeks have woken up. You can see the Senate is doing its bit. The House of Reps is doing its bit. The executive is doing its bit. We hope the, what's the other arm of government now? The people that make
the judiciary.
We hope the judiciary will also dispense justice where justice needs to be dispensed. But the bottom line is that if I were Matawali today, you know what I'll do? I will seek for an audience with Mr. President. I will walk into Mr. President's office and tell him, sir, thank you so much. I'm probably a misunderstood person. I am probably one who does not have requisite experience to handle the matters of defense, even though my state was, a hotbed. Educationally, maybe I am not where people that should handle such specialized areas are. I want to thank you for the confidence you had in me, but I want to leave. And when I leave, be rest assured that I will remain loyal to your government. Thank you for the opportunity to serve.
And I want to thank you, Andy. Between throwing in the towel and reassuring Nigerians that that position which we played back, which was his position as governor, that having had the experience of looking at this issue from the national level, I have a different position. Because whatever comment I'm making this morning, or we are making this morning, is because of what he said. We are not manufacturing what he said. But if there's a change of position, doesn't it make more sense for you to say also the reality of the present is this, and this is what we ought to do?
No, he can alter his position as long as one is alive. One continues to change and then improve based on energy, information and knowledge, that one gets. But changing that situation is not actually the main thing. What Jardine said actually is what I had referred to earlier on. The fault is not his. He didn't appoint himself. Somebody appointed him, who is the president. And it is one of those queer things that come out of our society, that we do believe that appointing somebody into a cabinet position or into any position is all about politics. But there are portfolios, there are cabinets, positions that you actually need to study the background and the suitability of the person that you are actually putting in that place. Frankly speaking, I do not know on what basis Matawale is in defense. Definitely there is none. So what the opportunity has presented is not all about his thanking the president and walking away, which is not a part of the culture of the Nigerian society for anybody to live. It's for the president to use this opportunity to, realign. Probably he can take him elsewhere, but he needs to have a certain beginning. You said, yes, a lot of movement have been going on in the society, and things seem to be, a lot more awareness thanks to Donald Trump. Unfortunately, as we have to say, he is the person that woke us up, and we started doing all this now. This is an opportunity for us to look at this portfolio, particularly because we did it at this point in time. If Matawale had, if the statement he made that we have been talking about, he made it as a governor, if he comes along at this point in time and says, because I did this and found out and I tried to pacify this and did that and it yielded this result, we could have seen that there is a foundation on which we are talking about. What he said he did, actually there is no evidence that it had cut ice anywhere. It didn't change anything. It worsened. The situation even got worsened. So definitely I don't think he has any pedigree. He does not have anything that actually he can bring to bear in managing the defense system of Nigeria, not to talk at this critical point in time. So it's not all about whether he can change his position and say, what I said before, I have found out now that it cannot apply at the moment. Whether it applies or not, you are out of your sorts in the place. That's not the issue. So the issue is that, can we recalibrate the system? Can we find people who are... It doesn't necessarily need to be that somebody had to be a retired general. It is important, it is good if he's a retired general, but frankly speaking, if you are going to get somebody to manage your defense, he has to have a fundamental background in intelligence, in defense, in studies. Even if you study political science and studied war situation, but there must have to be some background for you to know what you are beginning to deal with. No, you don't get somebody from anywhere and then say the person to manage your defense. But those are the type of things we do in Nigeria anyway.
Well, let us still thank our President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Whatever circumstance, whatever pressure, whatever he saw, or if it's a new beginning for appointing a square peg in a square hole, Nigerians are hopeful. And as Alpha said, we hope that Chris Musa just walks into the Senate and takes a bow. But, Alpha, we are going to what IBB and Obasanjo have said about Nigeria's situation. That is what they want done. But what kind of situation is Chris Musa going to confront? And what do you think are going to be the biggest challenges?
Well, you see, these things were no doubt in very interesting times. The riots in places like Kafanchan in the early 90s, when IBB was in power, how did he handle it? Let's look at the issues that even eventually led to these riots. that a lot of lives went down. If you look at what Obasanjo, a highly revered Nigerian, I have immense respect for him.
No, I want you, I will play back for you what they said so that you can speak precisely.
Okay.
But for now, what do you think are the kind of challenges that will confront Chris Musa as he
Well, you
takes up?
see, a lot of Nigerians have said Chris Musa is coming now into a political position. But issues of security, issues of health, issues of food security are not issues you play politics with. Because that is the very essence of, devoid of security, you and I cannot be sitting here this morning. So, this is not time to play politics. There was something Chris Musa said the day he was pulled out of the military. He said he still remains a soldier at heart. And I want to believe a soldier at heart is a soldier till he goes down into his grave. Sir, there is something, you know, you need to meet some of these military generals. It's when you meet them that you truly appreciate the level of training these guys have been subjected to, their intellectual capacities. Because you know, the unfortunate thing about the security situation in Nigeria is that you look at a policeman and what comes to your mind is a police station, where you enter a police station, the next thing is counter, the next thing is cell. That is what a lot of Nigerians, and then the policeman on the road. When you look at the soldier, it is that one that, hey, stand there, my friend, what do you know? That's what Nigerians think the military is all about.
But when you encounter the officer,
there are lots of them that are PhD holders. Some of them have gone to be professors. I met Awali Kazir some months ago. I emceed an occasion, he was there, and man, do you know something? If I became Nigeria's president today, I will ask General Awali Kazir to come and run the defense ministry for me. And I know I can go to sleep. And there are lots of them like that. Zemani Lekwot, they're all there. I read an interview granted by Zemani Lekwot. This man was quoting dates way back to the 60s. And precisely. Now look at their ages. But here, they are there. It's like you here, Chief. Look at what you're doing. How many people have the boldness to talk about the topics you talk about? Nobody does. It's only on the conference. So, what I want you to understand is that Chris Musa should know that, yes, he has a commander-in-chief. Policy formulation, policy implementation is within his behest, but he should be a soldier at heart, because this is not the time for us to sit down and bargain and negotiate and become too politically correct and become very diplomatic. No, it's time for action.
Time for action. Before he was pulled out, Andy, the critical sector was Northeast. But it's not long he went out. The thing has spread. There is Niger State now. Kaduna has not abated. The thing has extended to Kwara. Kogi is there. And from Kwara it is moving to Ekiti. This is no longer a one-front war. For a general who is commander in an organized army that deals with determined fronts, enemy known. Now this enemy has moved away from the Northeast, Borno, Yobe, and got spread. What can you see Chris Musa behaving like a dog, pursuing too many games at the same time?
No, he has no choice. He has no choice. He had to pursue all of them at the same time because that's the challenge before him. But let me even add before I start discussing this that yes, now that he is back, and heading the defense ministry, let me say that there are many dimensions, there are many expectations. I will want to believe that if Chris Musa was the Minister of Defense, when they killed the general that they killed not long ago, maybe the nation would have responded in a better way. You know, for it is easy to talk and then move on with a lot of things, but the response of the nation to the killing of a general, just like that, the way he was killed, it leaves a lot to be desired up to that. There was no response, even if it means, even if you are throwing your bomb away, but you ought to have made an impact for them. You don't just kill dispatch of a general that way and everybody moves on. No, that was, and before the public and every other thing, I didn't receive any response from the nation. You know, and that also was a statement on how we manage our defense and how the government as a whole. You know, that thing actually, it touched me because it was very symbolic that your general could be publicly executed that way.
Raise it on this program.
And then at every point, we just moved on and started pursuing other things. No, you would have made a solid statement by whatever means it is, you know, and then so that some other time, when the criminals actually have any contact with a general, however they get the person, they will think twice.
Well, don't forget that let us also admit that our president declared a security emergency.
Let me return to the question you asked me before. Let's say, you know, you were talking about the many fronts in which he had to. It's unfortunate, but that's the situation that he had to deal with now. There is no provision, there is no basis for, let me finish this front before I move into the other one. They have all multiplied, essentially.